Hey, what's up? This is Jordan Harris, the Mediocre Millionaire. This is the channel that proves that you don't have to be a brainiac or have a college education. You don't have to have rich parents to become a millionaire. All it takes is like a game plan and a little bit of determination. Well, a lot of determination to act that game plan out through the highs and the lows. Also, I talk about the trials and errors that I've gone through along my journey in business ownership and through financial planning and things like that. Put everything in layman's terms so it makes sense to the everyday person. I don't like using big words, all the college words that people throw around to discourage people and intimidate people. I stay away from that. I just give you simple things that I've learned that make sense to the everyday person. Today we're going to be talking about what a millionaire is, and we're going to dispel some of those myths and misconceptions that people have about millionaires. Whenever I was growing up, I thought that millionaire status meant that you had you couldn't spend the amount of money that you had. You know what I'm saying? Like, I figured that it was just an unlimited amount of money. And then once I owned my own company and started accumulating a little bit of wealth, I realized millionaire status is not exactly what I thought. It's net worth, it's not cash flow. So first, let's define what millionaire is. It's, like I said earlier, it's net worth. So that means, to break this down into layman's terms, if you have all of your assets, that's your cars, your houses, the cash that you have, all of your assets, and then you sell everything, and then you take that money from the stuff that you sold from your assets, and then you paid off all of your debt with it, right? So you take your assets, you get the cash, you pay off all the debt. If you're left with $1 million or more, you're considered a millionaire. So it's not your cash flow, it's not how much money you're bringing in, it's not how much money you have in your account. It's about what your net worth is, okay? So that's what a millionaire is. If you see me looking off over here, I'm actually looking at a computer that I have because I have some questions that I've received that I want to go through just to dispel some of those misconceptions and things like that. There's different ways that you can become a millionaire, though. There's like cash. So let's say if you're a YouTube star and you really don't have too much to invest in, you don't have to invest in real estate and things like that. You just post videos and then you get $1 million in your bank account, all cash. Like, that's one way to do it. And yeah, you can obviously share some money that way because you've got so much cash sitting around. But then there's also investments. So people become millionaires through investments. Like, maybe their aunts and uncles left them a house worth $1 million and there's no payments left to be made on it. So they own it free and clear, and they were given a house worth $1 million. That instantly makes them technically a millionaire. So cash or investments or a mixture of both is how you can be a millionaire. Thankfully, I have a mixture of both. I have a decent amount of cash that I have. My businesses bring in a good amount of money for me to, I guess, pay myself every week. And then I also have some investments in properties and things like that. Put all those things together and it equals about $1.5 million in net worth. So obviously there's levels to this, right? So you can be here, you can have $1 million, that's a millionaire. Or you can be way up here, you can have $999 million. Obviously above that is billionaire status, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about millionaire status. There's levels to this. I'm at the bottom of it. So I'm a millionaire, $1.5 million net worth, somewhere in there. So I'm just giving you examples of what my life looks like. So the next time someone tells you that they're a millionaire, maybe they're living a little similar to what I am. And you can understand their situation a little bit better. And maybe if you have somebody that's a millionaire in your family, maybe you'll hesitate the next time you ask them for a huge amount of money. And if they decline, you don't say, oh, this dude is cheap, or he's not willing to help out the family, because maybe he just doesn't have it. So anyway, let's get into some of the questions. The first question is, do you make $1 million per year? The answer to that is no. I don't make anywhere near $1 million a year. My businesses, now I own 3 businesses that produce a decent amount of revenue. So the one that we have that brings the most money, it's like somewhere in the $1.7 or $1.8 million a year. That's the janitorial company that my brother and I own. And then my wife and I, along with my mother-in-law, we own some preschools. One of the preschools brings in like 1.5 million a year, and then the other preschool brings in about $500,000 a year. And no, I don't take all that money home. And I know a lot of people think that when they look at business owners and they say, man, that business is bringing in all kind of money. I know that owner is probably rich. But they don't consider the fact that, like me, I pay $55,000 a week in payroll. That's just payroll. That's not insurance. That doesn't include the taxes that we pay. That doesn't include the mortgages that we have to pay. So that's just payroll, $50,000+ a week that we pay there. So the next time somebody talks about how they're a millionaire or how their businesses are bringing in so much money, also, you got to calculate what kind of expenses that person or that company has. But to answer the question, no, I don't make $1 million a year. Next question is, do you budget your money? And the answer to that is yes, 100%. I definitely budget my money. So I'm so passionate about budgets that I've actually made a video that I'm hoping that you look at and start to use. I created a budget that's free. You can download it, use it yourself. It's the same budget that I use now, and it's the same budget that I used way back when I was making $400 a week through unemployment checks. The same budget. So whether you're unemployed, broke, or whether you're millionaire, multi-millionaire, I would suggest this budget to anybody because it keeps it makes you look at the budget every Friday, and it keeps you disciplined with your money so you don't start spending and not knowing where your money's going. Okay. So do I budget my money? Heck yeah, absolutely. I look at my budget every single Friday. The first thing I do, I pay all of my bills for that week, and then I set money in my savings account, usually $1,200 to $1,500 a week for my savings. And then I'll set aside like $300 to $500 every week just to spend on what I want to spend on. Like if I want to buy some shoes, or if I want to take the wifey out to dinner, whatever it may be, like an allowance just to spend however I want to. So that's how I budget my money. Next question is, did you inherit any money? And the answer to that is no. So if you know anything about our story, we don't come from money. Like, we come from working class people. My dad passed almost 20 years ago. So he wasn't able to leave us anything except debt. So we inherited all of his debt. And then my mom is still living. So no, we haven't been passed down any money. My grandparents, they're all gone, but they didn't have anything to pass down either. So no, I inherited nothing. In 2015, actually, my wife and I were unemployed with no money saved up. We had $0. The only income we had was unemployment checks. So no, I didn't inherit anything. 2015, my net worth was like a negative something. And today, like I said, it's 1 point something million. Do you support your family financially? And that's not talking about my wife and my kids. That's talking about my mom, my aunts, uncles, and cousins. So that's like a two-part answer to that one. So my mom and her husband, they're okay. They don't need any money from me. They're retired, and they are simple people just like me. They don't have lavish lifestyle, so they don't need anything from me. They have everything that they need financially, so I don't need to take care of them. They're fine. My brother does just fine. He's doing well financially too. My sister's doing all right. My aunts, uncles, and cousins, if they ever need something from me, they know they can ask me, and I'll make it happen for them. If I can't help, I will help every time. So if they need $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, I'll give it to them. I've done it many times before. That happens. So yes, I do support them that way. But I'm not in the situation where a lot of, like, maybe you've heard of NBA stars who have their uncles and aunties on their payroll, and they just pay them like $5,000 a month, or they take care of their mortgage every month, or they pay their cars every month. Like, I don't do any of that for my cousins, aunts, and uncles. If I could, I would for some of them, but I can't afford to do that. Like, nowhere near. If I did that, I would run out of money probably in 8 or 9 months. It's not realistic for me to be able to do that. Just because I have a net worth of $1 million plus, that doesn't mean I have an unlimited amount of money somewhere sitting by that I can just throw around whenever I want to. It's not realistic or sustainable. The next question is, can you buy whatever you want whenever you want? So that's another two-part question, and that is like yes and no. So obviously I have to stay within my budget because I'm a huge budget person, as I mentioned before. But if I go to the store, I can basically buy what I want to in there and not really worry about it. Like I don't stress over if the meat in the store is $4 or $5. Like I don't care about that. Or if on a random Wednesday, I think I want to go and buy a new TV. Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. I've done that a few times. But then again, I do make sure I stay within my budget that's in my head. I like to think that I live about $1,000 at a time. So if there's something that's $400 or $500, I'll buy that without huge hesitancy. But then once it gets to like buying a $4,000 or $5,000 TV, then I start thinking like, okay, maybe I'll wait a little bit on that. I start getting a little shy on that thing. Maybe I'll say, I think I'll find one for $2,500, or maybe I should look for a TV for only $1,500. So can I buy whatever I want whenever I want? Yes and no. Another example is if I want to go buy a new Range Rover today, could I? Yes, I could. Could I afford it? Yes, I could, but it wouldn't be smart. Like I could invest that money elsewhere. I could definitely use that money elsewhere compared to people like, I don't know, Kevin Durant, who plays in the NBA. He's worth like $500 million or something crazy like that. He can spend $100,000 and not miss it. Could I spend $100,000 today? Yes, I could, but I would 100% miss it. I could spend $20,000 today. And would I miss it? Yes, I would definitely miss it. So that's the situation that I'm in. Like I could spend $1,000 and probably not miss it too much. I could spend $2,000 and not miss it. But once it gets to like the $10,000 and $15,000 range, I can't do that unless I've thought about it or put it, saved up for a couple of months just to be able to do that. So there's a little bit of information for you on that. Do you look at price tags when you're shopping? That's the next question. And I mentioned a little bit before, so if I'm going to the store and I'm buying like groceries and stuff, no, I don't look at the price tags on that. I just buy what I want to buy what looks good. If the cashier is ringing me out, typically whenever they say your total is, I don't even hear what that amount is. I like blank out because I don't care to hear it because I know I have that money set aside in my budget for it anyway. So if I'm walking through and I see meat or cereal or whatever it may be in the store, I buy it without thinking. If I'm going to Best Buy and I see some type of electronics that looks cool, some type of microphone or a camera or something that looks pretty cool, and it's like $1,000, then yeah, I'll go ahead and buy that. But once it gets to like $2,000, $2,500, $5,000 TVs, that's when my antennas go up a little bit and I slow down and really start to look at how much I have in my account and stuff like that. The next question is, how often do you look at your bank account? So I check my bank account every Friday, and that's when I do my budgets because I pay all of my bills every single Friday. And then I am an employee of the company all the companies that I own. I'm an employee of those companies, so they pay me checks every month, and they pay all the other owners checks every week. I'm sorry, not every month, but every week. So I look at my account every Friday, pay all of my bills that way, and then I set a little bit of money aside just to spend throughout the week. Like I said, $300 to $500 or something like that. And then I typically don't look at my bank account again until the next Friday. One secret that I do exercise, and I suggest you all do this, but you've got to be disciplined with it, is that I put all of my spends on a credit card that has I think it's 3% cash back. So all of my spends throughout the month, I put them on a cashback credit card. So let's say if I spend $10,000, then they'll give me $300 back towards the end of that cycle. So I usually do that all year, and then at the end of the year, I'll use that cashback money Usually it's like $2,000 to $2,500 or something like that. I'll use that for Christmas shopping. So it's like almost like free money, which is crazy. But there's a little freebie for you. I suggest you all do that because it helps me a lot. It's free money. I mean, put throughout the month, put all of your spends on the credit card and then pay the credit card off every single month, the whole thing. If you put $2,000 on there for the month, pay the entire $2,000 off at the end of the month. That way they don't make any money off of you. You're not getting any kind of interest charges or anything like that. And at the end of the year, look at your total and you'll have probably $1,500 to $2,000 in that account, cash back, that you didn't really even do anything for. So that's just free money, free advice. Okay, next question is, do you still have to work? And the answer to that is, heck yeah, 100%. I still work like 55 to 60 hours every week. I was working before I did this video, and I'm gonna go right back to work after I do this video. Yeah, I still have to work for sure. Like, I have to make my weekly income. I still have to address and speak to my employees. I have to talk to all the clients. I still have to do all of that stuff. If I stopped working, I would be fine for about 6 months. Okay, so do I have millionaire status? Yes, I do, but I still have to work. And then just give a little, I don't know what you call it, but just to give you a little bit of inside information. Like I said before, my millionaire status comes from a mixture of what I do. So I have some things like this house that I own, the property that my companies own, the campus that we own. We also have some cash, right? Cash as well, that counts. And then the ownership stake that I have in my businesses. So if the businesses are worth a total of, I think it was if the businesses are worth a total of about $3.5 million right now, and I own 50% of that, then that's the amount of money that goes to my net worth. So that's a little bit of information too. It's not all cash that you own. It's not all assets. It's all of it mixed together. So if I wanted to stop working today and sell all of my assets, which includes this house that I live in, and pay off all of my debts, I would be left with like $1 million or so. But I know that $1 million does not last as long as a lot of people think it does. Trust me. Okay, so when was the last time you went to the thrift store, and do you frequent thrift stores often? So this question, I guess, is just to see, I don't know, if I live a rich lifestyle, or if millionaires typically all have this same lavish lifestyle. And the answer to that is, I don't have a lavish lifestyle at all. The only thing that's quote unquote fancy about me is my house is pretty nice and I have a Range Rover. Outside of that, I'm simple. Like you see this t-shirt I got on. This t-shirt was $10. Almost every t-shirt that I wear is $9.99. My wife laughs at me because a lot of the times when I'm walking through the store and I see, I'm a big fan of these graphic t-shirts. But anytime we go to the graphic t-shirt section, which I check every time, if the price is above $9.99, I'm not buying it. If it's $15, I'm not buying it. If it's $12.99, I might consider it. I gotta love the shirt for me to buy it at $12.99. I buy t-shirts that are $9.99. It's just how I operate. So that goes along with the thrift store question. Yeah, I went to the thrift store maybe 2 weeks ago. My admin for one of my businesses has been to the thrift store probably 6 or 7 times within the last month or so. My thought process is, if you can save money, why wouldn't you save money? It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's all about how much you keep. So like if I can go to Kirkland's and buy this big expensive $200 picture frame, but I could buy that same picture frame, or I could buy a picture frame that's going to do the same thing that this $200 picture frame would do, then why not buy the cheap one? That's my mindset. If I can get a picture frame from the Goodwill that is $2, why not buy that one? Like, why go to Kirkland's and buy the one that's $100? That just doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, I go to the Goodwill for stuff like that all of the time. My mom actually goes to the thrift store like every other day. Not every other week, but every other day. No joke. She's like a thrift store queen. So yeah, I'm all about saving money where I can. Another thing that I want to throw in there, this is just something that came to mind. I preach this all the time to people. If your expenses are here and then your income is here, you're just surviving, right? So if your income goes up, please don't make your expenses go up. People do that all of the time. It's not the smart thing to do. So if your expenses are here and this is how much money you're bringing in and you get a raise at work, that does not mean that you need to buy a new car or buy a bigger place. Just stay right where you are, because this part here that's in the middle between my hands, that's the amount of money that you get to save, right? That's your savings account. So if your expenses are here, keep them here. Figure out a way to make your expenses drop as your income goes up, because the more space you have between these hands is the amount of money that you get to save or invest in other stuff. That is how the rich get richer, making sure that the space in between grows. That's a free tidbit as well. Okay, next question is, what kind of cars do you own? So I'm just going to talk about the cars that I personally drive. I'm not going to talk about the cars that the businesses own, because that doesn't make sense. So our businesses, we own maybe all together, maybe 7 or 8, something like that. Maybe less. I think maybe 5. I think we own 5. I think the business owns 5 cars. But the cars that I drive, I have a Range Rover Sport, white with dark tinted windows and black rims. It is a beautiful car. The only reason why I bought that car, because I'm all about saving money and not looking flashy, but the reason why I bought the car is because it was my dream car. I love the way it looks. I think it's the nicest car ever made. And I was so obsessed with this thing. Like, I remember I was leaving a convenience store called Quick Trip one day, and I saw a guy drive into the parking lot. He was driving a Range Rover. So I backed my car up, parked next to his. He probably thought I was some crazy dude or something, but I parked next to him, and I was like, "Hey sir, you mind me asking you a couple questions?" He's like, "Go for it, no problem." So I asked him, like, how did he afford it? What does he do for a living? All these different questions about the maintenance costs and all that stuff. But that's how driven I was to get this kind of car. I would do that all of the time to people. Anytime I saw somebody driving a Range Rover, I'd stop and ask them what they did for a living, because I wanted one that bad. So once it came time where I could actually financially afford one, or it made sense for me to be able to buy one, I bought it. And it was used. It was like $22,000. And it was at a time where I could spend that $22,000 and it didn't hurt me at all. It was tax season. And a lot of people who own businesses may know this, and this is a weird concept, but your accountant will look at your numbers like in October or November, and he'll see what you're projected to have at the end of the year, what your profit looks like at the end of the year. And if your profit is this much, then you have to give this much to the federal government. So what you want to do is you want to shrink the amount of profit that you had, so you can shrink the amount of money that you pay the federal government, which sounds crazy, I know, but it's the way business is done. So that year we had to spend quite a bit of money, like $80,000 or something like that. And I saw that this Range Rover was for sale, so I bought that. We also have a Kia Carnival, which my wife loves. It's like a minivan. It's pretty nice. I'm not a minivan guy, but I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty nice. And then we have a Ford Maverick. It's a pickup, 42 miles per gallon. I love that little thing. So I drive the Ford Maverick like 95% of the time, and then Range Rover, I'll buy that like on a nice sunny day, maybe on payday or something. I don't know. Go to the office on Fridays, payday, and drive the Range Rover like 5% of the time, because that thing gets like 13 miles per gallon or something nuts like that. It's actually in the shop right now as we speak with a $1,500 repair note on it. So I've got to go pick that up today. So if you're interested in Range Rovers, I would suggest don't buy it unless you really look into what the maintenance looks like, because it's pretty crazy. Yeah. So if you can afford to pay the price tag on the car, that's fine and dandy, but also think about what it's going to cost to maintain it. Can you afford that part too? That is what a lot of people miss. Like this house here, it's a pretty big house. We looked at the price tag, we said, yeah, we can afford it. But then we also said, now can we afford to maintain it? Because there's a bunch of light bulbs in this place. There's a kitchen in the basement. Like, there's 2 kitchens here. So there's not just one garbage disposal that you got to worry about in your house. There's 2 of them. There's not one air conditioning unit that you got to worry about. There's 2 or 3. You know, so don't just think about how much it costs, the upfront price tag. Think about the maintenance part too. Like, there's not just one stove here. There's 3 stoves. You know what I'm saying? So think about the maintenance side of things too. So yeah, those are all the cars that we own, that I drive. Do you finance or lease your vehicles is the next question. I do a little bit of everything. So like I said earlier, when it came to the Range Rover, I was in a position where I had like $80,000 to spend and I only had like a month or 2 to do it. So I bought that one. Some people say bought it with cash, but I didn't use cash. I just wrote a check and paid for it that way. The Ford Maverick, with that one, my brother and I have one. I can't remember how we paid. So I think his was paid off in cash, and then we financed mine, the one that I drive. I think that's how we did that. And then the Kia Carnival, we leased that one because the payments were like significantly lower whenever we leased it. And then also they help you with the maintenance and all that. And at the end of I think it was a 3-year lease. At the end of that lease, we'll just buy it outright cash that time, because it'll drop down from like 45,000 down to like 18 or 20,000 or something. So we'll buy it out then. So it just depends on the situation. If we buy, lease, or, you know, if we buy it outright, lease, or finance it. Next question is, are you debt free? And that answer is heck no, not even close. I think my total debt is probably somewhere in the million range. I bet you, I easily have $1 million worth of debt. What I've learned is that people who have money, and you know, I'm always trying to learn from people who have a lot of money. I'm always trying to learn from those people, because to get from where I am now, or let's say to get from where I was to get to where I am now, I had to do a whole bunch of research on YouTube and learn from people on how to do this and how to do that. So I have that same mentality where to get from where I am now to where I want to be, which is like multi-millionaire status, where I am bringing in $1 million a year personally, then I got to do research for that. And what I've learned is the people who have money, they don't use their own money. They use other people's money to make money. So instead of buying a car outright like I used to, or like I would back in the past, now I'll say, okay, actually I want a loan on that car. I just want to put down $5,000. You pay off the other 15 or 17,000, bank or whoever I'm loaning the money from, and then I'll just keep my $17,000 in my pocket. So that's what I do whenever I see a rental property that we like, or let's say this house, instead of buying, instead of putting $500,000 down, like, why not just put down 5% if you can, and then make monthly payments on it, and then keep the other, and just use that for other investments if you need to. So I'm all about keeping my money in my pocket and then using other people's money to make money off of theirs. That's what I've learned along the way, and it works out pretty well for me. That's how we're able to accrue the cash that we need on a daily basis. So, that is all the questions that I have on here. So if you have any other questions, please do leave those in the comment section below. I'd love to go through those all. I'm pretty active on those comments in the comment section. So leave whatever questions you have down there. I'll be sure to answer all of those, even if it's like if it's not too intrusive, I'll answer it. Like, I don't really like to answer the questions like, how much do you make every week? Because it gets kind of weird doing that. Just know that I don't make $1 million a year. All right. I don't make $1 million a year personally. I don't bring home $1 million a year. But yeah, please do leave any other questions you have in the comment section. I'd love to answer those. Do like this video as well, because it helps us with the YouTube algorithm. It puts this video in front of other people who are scrolling through their YouTube channel or their YouTube feed. Also, subscribe to the channel, because I love to give this free information. Like I said before, I don't put anything in these huge college terms that confuse people or intimidate people. I like speaking to everyday folks like I'm just an everyday person. So I like speaking to people like me who don't love getting confused by terms. I put things as simple as they possibly can be. I learned everything that I've learned through college, some, but mostly I learned it through experience, trial and error, and also through YouTube videos. That's how I learned everything. I'm a simple person. So yeah, please do subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate that. As always, I appreciate your time. God bless. Take care. Peace.